on the multifamily side, what was helpful for us is that I've always lived remotely of the properties that I own and manage. And so when looking at multifamily, when I go buy that building, I've got management in place, and our focus is actually to manage the managers. And so we end up being in this position where our business today is, instead of being focused on individual properties and the individual owners, now our business is really focused on the individual investors, and we put the professional management in place to handle everything else. So you think you can do that in single family, and it's possible. But what I found is that once you get some of that experience, it's great to go into larger assets because you end up getting a better economies of scale.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your co-host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/081. Today, guys, it's my pleasure to bring to you Steven Pesavento. Steven's a successful podcaster in the real estate space. His podcast name is the Investor Mindset Show. And Steven specializes in multifamilies and bigger deals. And that wasn't always the case, though. When he started out, he did single families. In his first year, this dude did 75 investment deals in his first year in real estate. And to put that in perspective, yes, our team, we did over 600 deals last year. But in my first year, when I was on my own just trying to figure it out, I only did one deal in my first 18 months. So he is an impressive guy. I'm really excited to bring him to the table here, and we got a lot of great information we're going to unpack. Then before we get started, so while Steven specializes in the multis and like the bigger projects, what we specialize in is 4 families and below. And we help people build financial freedom through these type of properties. Last year, we generated $130,000 a month in passive income, whether that was from our own team's personal investments, our clients, you name it. So if you have any interest in investing into some of these single family and some of the 4 family and underneath price points, we have a lot of opportunities for you. So just shoot us an email to deals@3doors.com, deals@3doors.com, and we can get you started on some of the opportunities that we have available for you there. So then finally, let's get going with our iTunes review of the week.
This week's review comes to us from Catfishy12, titled Knowledge Packed, 5 stars. Catfishy writes, "This podcast is great. I've learned so much already. The guests are phenomenal. So much information. Great job." Catfishy, thank you for your review. Jim, back to you.
All right, guys. So that's a wrap for the introduction. And now let's, without any further ado, Steven Pesavento. All right, guys. Today, welcome again. Today we have Steven on the line here. I'm really excited about this call, man. And let's just get rolling, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Steven.
Yeah. Well, Steven Pesavento, host of the Investor Mindset Show and managing principal of Untitled Capital. So we're a firm that goes out and buys large multifamily properties around the country, typically 200 to 300 unit buildings in some of the fastest growing major markets, from Denver to Dallas to Jacksonville to Phoenix, and do a few others in between. And we work with, high income earning professionals, real estate agents, business owners, and people who want to own real estate, but realize that going and owning and managing it themselves is a lot of work. So we partner with them. We're experts. We go and manage and handle all of the day-to-day activities, and they invest 100% passive. So we essentially leverage some of the same strategies the wealthiest individuals have been using for syndication of real estate for decades, and bring that to business owners all across the country.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. Yeah. So thanks for being on the line, Steven. I really appreciate it. So So investor mindset show. So tell me a little bit more about that and why mindset's so important to you.
Well, I don't think it's important to me. I think it's important to everybody. And the reason that it's super important is that at the end of the day, a lot of people want to go out and learn strategy. And I'm sure a lot of people are here because they're interested. Hey, how do I go and buy real estate? How do I go and become an owner operator? How do I transition out of this position where I've got access to all these different opportunities, yet I'm not taking action on doing something with it? So mindset is the foundation that gives people the ability to believe that it's possible for them to do that, to step into using that strategy that they might learn from a coach or a mentor, or they might get inspired from learning that someone else has already been down that path. And so mindset is simply the thoughts and beliefs that directly lead to the actions you take and therefore the outcomes you experience. And what's cool is when you can change those thoughts and beliefs, when you upgrade your mindset, you actually can upgrade and change the results that you're seeing. So for anybody who's listening who hasn't bought any real estate to put in their portfolio yet, you can definitely want to learn all about the different strategies. And there's a lot of different ways to participate in real estate, but a lot of it comes down to believing that it's possible, believing that you can do it and shifting that thought. And so that's why understanding the investor mindset is so important, is because when I'm talking to business owners and they're making, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year in their business, and yet if they step away from that business, they're not going to continue down that same path of income. And so it's stepping into that understanding of how do I think like an investor? How do I think like the ultra rich and ultra wealthy? And how do I use my money to create more money? And, that's the reason why we all get into investing, is so we can create more passive income, which gives us some more freedom.
Oh, I love that, guys. And I mean, I think that too, Stephen and I, we just met on this, right now, actually, we don't have a background. So Stephen, for example, if you look at our team, last year we did over 600 transactions right here in St. Louis, Missouri. And people will look at that and they'll say, oh my gosh, you guys did 600 deals. That's crazy. That's amazing. You've done over 3,000 in your career. Oh, that's amazing. And I say, okay, well, that's true. And it took me 18 months to do my first deal. 18 months to do my first deal. And it had nothing to do with not having the capability or the ability to grow. What it had to do and dealt with was my mindset. And I was scared. And I couldn't get over that analysis paralysis and just couldn't pull the trigger because I was scared. And there's nothing wrong with that. And what's funny about this, guys, that I've learned over the years is the farther down this rabbit hole that I go, I've been doing this 13 years now, full time. And other people like Stephen that are seasoned, we take so much importance on mindset and getting your mind right and how important it is. And a lot of newer people that come in, they want to know the X's and O's and the strategies and the secret sauce and what magical marketing bullet is going to explode and you're going to make a lot of money because you learned this new trick. And the thing that gets in everybody's way, the stuck, is most of the time mindset. So I love that you're focused on that, Stephen. I couldn't agree with you more. How did you get how did you evolve into that headspace where mindset is so important? Were you always that way, or let's go back into your early days as an investor?
Well, I think, growing up, I had the fortune of having a couple of great parents, but we were working class. We grew up without a lot, and it was definitely kind of a paycheck to paycheck situation. And so through the years, there was a lot of lack of abundant thinking. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of hurt and pain around money. And so I really went out to go and look to find other people that I could learn from, other people that were successful, other people that were living the life that I wanted to live, because the life that I saw when I looked around wasn't the life that I believed was the kind of life that I'd want to create. And so I went out searching for mentors, coaches, teachers, and finding some amazing people. I mean, podcasts is a great place to be able to learn some of this, diving into books and be able to research and learn from other people who've been through this before. And so on that journey, going down that path, I started to realize that when we can start to understand how other people think, we can actually step into the identity of those other people, and we can use that as kind of a superpower for ourselves. So I would simply essentially go out and find some of these people who believe that it's possible to go and start a business, who believed it's possible to go and get involved in real estate, to start investing, to start creating passive income, to start living a life that is, better than the average view of how most people go about living their life. So I kind of went down this path of looking for other people. And what's cool is when you find those other people who are also, have that dream mentality, but they're doing it, and you can actually borrow their belief. And what's cool is you might not have it yourself. You might hear James talk about it. You might hear Steven talk about some of his success. You might hear, hey, well, oh, really cool that you're buying those properties, but I can't be the guy who could buy a 200 unit building. Well, cool. I didn't think that I was either. That's why I started flipping houses and flipped 200 houses and realized, hey, I'm in the wrong space. This is not the client that I want to work with. And after 2.5 years of that, I have found some other people who I could borrow their belief. And when I could actually step into believing what they believe because they're doing it in their life, I'm borrowing it because I don't quite believe it for myself yet, but I'm essentially taking that on. And then once you actually have that success, when you close that first deal, when you end up seeing that rent check come in or that passive income check, that's when it all becomes real. And it's all of those opportunities, those times that stack upon one another over and over again that allow you to move closer and closer where you want to go. And so on the Investor Mindset Show, that's what we dive into. We dive into understanding, how do you think about money and how can you change the way you think about money so that you can actually take the action to start investing, whether that's something you're going to go and own and operate yourself because you want to be the business owner, or whether you want to partner with experts like us and put your money to work behind a team that's going out and doing that. Either way, it all comes down to believing that you can do it, understanding the right tactics and strategies that build off of it, and then taking action.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the mind is designed to protect us, right? And if you've never done something before, you know what it's a lot like, guys, is if you have back in your dating days, so I'm a little bit older now, I've been married now for 10 years. But if you think back into your dating days, and let's say you had your best friend's girlfriend, and you don't really hesitate to talk to that woman, right? Like it's one of your friends. You can go up and talk to her. But then if you are at a bar trying to pick up a girl and you see a beautiful girl across the way, and you look at her and you're like, man, I'd love to potentially buy that girl a drink. And then what happens? Then you freeze and you start, oh, well, what if she rejects me? What if something goes wrong? On the real estate side of things, what if I lose money, right? And the brain is designed to protect you because it knows that, well, wait, Jim just was talking to a female and he didn't hesitate. So that girl was safe. But this new opportunity, this new thing that he could do, he's hesitating. He's not going. So well, why is he hesitating? Well, it must mean it's not safe. So I have to protect and cause you to not act. I have to protect and cause you to freeze and then go away and run away because that's not a safe thing. So if you don't have someone's belief that you can borrow, it's going to be really challenging. But if you have, well, no, Steve was telling me I can do this. My buddy says I can pick up chicks. I can do real estate deals. Then I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. Win, lose, or draw, I can actually go and put that into action. So, but yeah, so it's all in the mind, guys. It's all in the mind. I didn't think I was going to be talking about picking up chicks on the podcast today, Stephen.
Hey, at the end of the day, it's all about getting over your fear, because a lot of people have a fear about money. They have a huge attachment to, hey, maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe it's, you have some different beliefs about it, like money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard for money, or any of these things. Well, these beliefs are part of your belief system. It's a bunch of BS that you've learned over your life. And what you have to do is you step in to training programs, you work with great coaches, you work with people who can help you understand that way of thinking is one way of thinking, but it might not be the best. And there might be another one that you can learn. And at the end of the day, you've got to decide for yourself, are you willing to step in and take action and make some of those changes? Because it's going to be uncomfortable at first. When people first make their first passive investment into the kind of deals we do, we're buying 25 to 50, $70 million properties, and we'll group a whole group of investors together. Someone might write a check for 100,000. It's their first time investing. This person might have $1 million in the bank, but investing that 100,000 into something new is going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel excited about what it can do for you what's possible. But at first, until you actually see the result, you're still wondering, like, is this going to work out? And then you see the result. It starts working out. You start getting the checks. You have an exit. Things are going in the right direction. You start to build that belief. And so at the end of the day, it's the same exact thing. If you're going to go and buy a house directly from a homeowner, we bought over 200 houses in 2.5 years directly from homeowners in North Carolina and Minneapolis. And we built a great team. We figured out a lot of great ways to go and find those deals. At the end of the day, the person who I was before we bought those deals and the person after, I'm the same person, but I believe that it was possible. And I know any time that I want to go make $10,000 or $20,000, that within 2 or 3 months, or probably even 30 days or less, if I just sit down and do the work myself, instead of just building my team for it, I can do that. And that's exactly the same thing all of you guys can do if that's the path you want to go.
Yeah. And what's interesting is since you've bought so many houses now, like, do you have any sort of fear or hesitation to writing that first offer or having that conversation with the homeowner now?
I don't have a fear about writing the first offer at all, because I think the offer opens the door. The offer is just part of the conversation. And I don't hold, I also, as a result, I don't hold any discomfort in writing an offer that's going to work out from an investment perspective, but might be much less than that person was hoping to get for their house. And I've come to train myself to understand that a part of that process when you are buying houses for investment purposes is that you have to make the offer that works. And you might have to have a conversation in a different way to get to the point where you can let them know the disappointing news that their house might be worth less. Now, it's part of the reason I changed industries, because I really wanted to focus 100% of my effort on working with clients where I have alignment of interest. So, I have agents or investors or flippers that invest with us, and they do it because they're making a bunch of money in their business, but then they're able to wipe out, 100% of their taxes through depreciation, which they're not getting because they're not holding on to property. And one of the biggest things that I think is such a mistake, and you might know this too yourself, James, is that I think it's such a shame when I meet these high income earning agents and they're paying taxes, because as a real estate professional, you have one of the most powerful pieces of the tax code on your side. And all you have to do is simply go out and buy some rental properties and do some accelerated bonus depreciation and wipe that out, or invest it passively into the kind of deals we do. And you don't have to pay any taxes. And so the thing is, when people even hear that, they have a level of fear, because they think, oh, well, hey, is that possible? Is that right? Is that legal? And at the end of the day, the truth is the tax code was written because it's a treasure map, and the government only has one way of incentivizing its citizens to do the things it wants. And so they put together this map and they say, hey, real estate's really important. We need places for people to live. And so if you're a real estate professional and you spend all of your time building and doing and working within this space, will allow you to wipe out your taxes with depreciation if you're actually owning and being owner in those properties. And I'm sure you've seen that yourself, James, in some of the properties you own. Have you been able to use depreciation to your benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And we, it's almost embarrassing what we had to pay on taxes last year, and when I know the bottom line of what we made. It's a beautiful thing. It's an amazing thing. And I don't know. The other interesting thing is like knowing what I know about like long-term buy and holds, the risk of investing if you're using a long-term buy and hold strategy is actually pretty minimal, because historically real estate prices have appreciated over 4%. So let's go back, guys. Let's say you bought in 2006 at the height of the last recession. The home prices are higher than they were then now. If your exit strategy is like a 15, 20, 30, 40-year window, I don't care if you buy again at a historic real estate caused recession. If you buy at the height, if your plan is to hold on to it for 15 or 20 years, you're going to be okay. There's actually not all that much risk, but it's really more, and why we talk about the mindset so much. It's that stuck in that scaredness that really, like, until you break through that discomfort, it's going to be really difficult to kind of get to the next level. And I don't care where that discomfort is, like, it expands. So Stephen, right now, like what makes you uncomfortable, and what are you working on right now to expand yourself?
Well, I think what makes me uncomfortable is the unknown when we're going out and we're closing a deal and we're putting together $20 or $30 million of equity. That's a new type of feeling. But it used to be raising $1 million felt like a very uncomfortable feeling. Going and raising $100,000 to go buy a property felt uncomfortable. But at this point, we've gotten so proficient and effective at being able to build relationships with our clients. And we found the people who are interested in owning real estate, but they realize that going and owning and managing and being the landlord and doing all the work and the effort's just not for them. For some people, that's a great strategy. For some people, they don't mind kind of going out there and handling different issues, or dealing with tenant phone calls, or dealing with the phone calls from the property manager if they're running interference for you. But then there's other people who don't. And so for me, I'm just such a big believer in growth. And so I'm always looking to put myself in situations where I feel like I'm growing. And I think that's actually one of the secrets that I've learned along the way from very successful people, that's actually the secret to feeling fulfilled and happy, is that you feel a level of momentum in your life. And so at no point do I ever plan on ever retiring, but I always plan on having incremental growth available in my world. So I think that's something I can recommend to everybody, no matter where you're at. If you're just getting started, if you're being an agent looking to go represent people and you're trying to build that book of business, just make sure you're finding ways to have incremental growth. It's not all about getting the contract or the final win. You've got to feel that momentum on a regular basis.
I absolutely love that. So let's switch gears a little bit. So how did you stumble into this? So I call it turnkey investing, and kind of providing turnkey properties for people. How were you always in these large multifamilies and kind of working on these syndication deals, or were you doing something else when you started? Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to doorstodeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest. Were you always in these large multifamilies and kind of working on these syndication deals, or were you doing something else when you started?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I started out flipping houses. I was a management consultant by trade. I went into technology because I was searching for something that was more passionate, searching for that connectivity to a group of people who believed that life was that you could live a bigger life and a better life than the way most people end up thinking about living. And that's when I ended up getting back into the real estate space. I had first read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 17, got the kind of idea about it. When I was a kid growing up, I wanted to be one of two things. I wanted to be a chef like Emeril Lagasse, or I wanted to renovate houses like Bob Vila. But there was fear. There was things that were holding me back. There was beliefs that were holding me back from taking action. And eventually I got to the point where I had this moment of clarity and I said, not another day, not another minute. I'm doing this. I'm going forward. I'm going to make this happen. And I fired all my clients, was running, doing consulting at the time. And I pushed all in. And so when I started in the business, I didn't have any experience. I didn't have any money, and I didn't have any connections to people who were doing what I wanted to do. So I went out and I found a great community, found some local events to meet some people. And I thought to myself, hey, how can I be of value to them? And I went out searching for ways that I could be of value to people that I wanted to be close to. At the time, I didn't believe in coaching. That was a huge mistake. I, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not over $1 million on coaching up until this point. And as a result, it's made me millions of dollars. And so what I've found is that my biggest fear and the times when I have not taken action because I have that limiting belief is usually the time that once I get over that and I actually take the leap, I might not have a result right away, but very quickly I start having feedback, even if that feedback is failures. So anyways, I'm getting off subject here, but I flipped 75 houses my first year. I partnered with somebody who really had a strong understanding of renovating properties. And I went and built a marketing machine to go and buy homes directly from sellers. It wasn't until I had bought over 100 houses that I bought my first personal home that I moved into. And in that period of time, I ended up flipping over 200 houses. But what I realized in that process was I was sitting at an event. I was listening to something just like you're listening to now, and somebody was talking about the importance of building your business for your ideal client, of creating a vision of what you want your business to look like in 5, 10, 20 years, who you want to work with, how you're going to receive payment, and where there's going to be alignment. And what I realized is in my business, the way I was buying houses, my clients were people who were selling their house one time, and people don't sell their house for 60 to 70 cents on the dollar twice. That's a one-time sale. It's a one-time interaction. And although I was absolutely helping those people create and get out of the situation that they had put themselves into, I had built a business that was making us great money. I realized that it wasn't in alignment with the direction I wanted to go. So I started looking around, started making some shifts, making some changes in my business, started changing the focus on the people who are going to buy the house or we're going to serve them. And as we kept going, I kept realizing that there's always going to be this us versus them mentality. And so that's where it really clicked for me, where focusing on the investor, our partner, is and was the big shift that I made that ended up leading me down this path. And so going into much larger projects makes a lot of sense because, frankly, buying a 200-unit multifamily apartment building is a lot more secure than buying one single-family home. And here's the reason why. It's because of diversification of leases, over 200 different leases in the building. You've got professional management. You've got professional on-site management and maintenance. And so what you're doing is essentially you're buying an individual business. If you go and create your own portfolio of, 20 or 30 or 100 single family homes, you can create some of those economies of scale. And that's why big companies like Blackstone and these other REITs, real estate investment trusts, are moving into that space because if they can effectively put in that kind of management, they can make huge profit. And so you, as an individual going out and buying single family homes, you can make huge profit if and when you put those systems and processes in place. But on the multifamily side, what was helpful for us is that I've always lived remotely of the properties that I own and manage. And so when looking at multifamily, when I go buy that building, I've got management in place, and our focus is actually to manage the managers. And so we end up being in this position where our business today is, instead of being focused on individual properties and the individual owners, now our business is really focused on the individual investors, and we put the professional management in place to handle everything else. So you think you can do that in single family, and it's possible, But what I found is that once you get some of that experience, it's great to go into larger assets because you end up getting a better economies of scale. And so that's why we made the shift that we did.
So there's a lot there to unpack, guys. So what Steven said, there's a couple of really powerful things. Okay. The first thing, so like when my mind's kind of listening to his story, guys, like I was just kind of waiting for it. I was like, okay, like his journey, he was doing the 200 houses and like, like what was his end game, or like, where was he going? And he said a powerful statement. He said, it wasn't in alignment with the direction that I wanted to go. The 200 houses, I didn't want to just work with a client doing one house at a time, and then that led me into doing these bigger deals. And the thing to understand, guys, is when you get crystal clear on what your business vision is and where you want to go, then that's what gives you power to say yes or no to opportunities. Because I know investors, guys, that are multimillionaires in single family. I know investors that are multimillionaires and multi and apartment complexes, you name it. But the one secret sauce that the most successful investors all share in common is they get really clear on what they want and they say no to everything else and get really focused in on a niche. So if you guys can get crystal clear on what you want, for one person listening in, that might be, hey, I want to be as passive as possible. Okay, well, Steven's got some great options for you. Another person might say, you know what? I'm just starting out and I want to be as active as possible. I want to spend a tremendous amount of time. Well, maybe that's a different strategy. But getting clear first on exactly how you want your life to be designed, exactly what you want your business to do, is a really powerful thing. That a lot of success stories I've listened to on this podcast share that same trend. Absolutely. So that was a really powerful moment. Now, did you? There's a book that I really enjoy, guys. If you're looking for kind of additional info on this, called The Pumpkin Plan. Have you ever read that one, Steven?
I haven't, but I've heard great things from a lot of people.
There's a lot of overlap on kind of the talk and what your ideal clients are and everything like that. So if that sparked anything for any of y'all listening, The Pumpkin Plan is a great book that can kind of dive deeper into what we're talking about here. So how many years ago did you really get into these bigger projects, man? Like how long have you been doing this for now?
Yeah, 2.5, almost 3 years. And that was a little bit longer of a period of really getting to understand these larger projects. What do these look like? How do we find the right partners and managers on the ground who are going to actually execute and do the day-to-day operations in these projects? And so as a result, we've been able to purchase about 1,200 units in the last year alone. And what's been nice about that is that I've seen my own personal net worth grow exponentially in comparison with when I was running the flipping company. We've seen our investors' net worth grow exponentially in comparison with them lending into our flipping company. And the big reason is because the way that these deals are set up, it's all about that economies of scale. And the same way you get a benefit of leverage when you buy one little home for $100,000 and you get $70,000, you get that same benefit on the big scale. But I really want to emphasize something you talked about. And the idea of getting clear on what you want and why you want it is so critical. It's the most important thing that I talk about with all of my coaching clients. And I don't coach anybody on real estate. It's all high performance based, all around some of these ideas that we're talking about here. But at the core is, if you understand what you want and you use why you want it to further understand and clarify what, then you can actually start getting clear on how you're going to get there. Because for me, the big mistake I made is that when I got started in real estate, I thought to myself, what do I want? I want to make money in real estate. Why do I want it? Because I want to prove to myself that I can do it, because I want to create some more freedom, because I want this to be a career. And as I went down that path, I created that. But the truth was, the real what that I wanted was to create a fulfilling career where I got to help other people, while creating real freedom and the ability to step away and create passive income. And what I realized was that because I didn't spend as much time getting clear on what I wanted in that specific instance, I ended up being in a position where I did not have, I created a business that was different than the business that I actually wanted to have. Have you ever heard of anybody doing this, James? Have you ever heard anybody having the same problem?
Everyone. Yes.
Right. Right.
That's part of the blessing and the curse of being an entrepreneur. Absolutely. And it's funny because like people ask me all the time, they'll say, well, what should I do? I'm going to show you how long I've been investing for. Should I go into the short sale niche? No one talks about that anymore, but that was a big thing when I started out.
It'll come back sometime.
Should I flip? Should I do rentals? Like, oh, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? And an analogy I like to use, guys, is that's the same thing as saying, are you going to fly or ride a bike or take a bus to a vacation? What do you want to do, Steve? Do you want to fly or ride? What do you think? Or walk? How do you make that decision without deciding what the purpose or the point of your vacation is? Is it a beach trip? Is it just a little day, like weekend thing where you walk around a park just to get away? Is it going to the lake that's 30 minutes away? Like, you don't need to fly if you just want to go to a lake that's 30 minutes away from you. But like, you get so caught up in like, well, how am I going to do this? And then you learn, and then like, this is what I did. I spent 18 months trying to learn all these different strategies. Well, I didn't know where I wanted to go first. How do you know the best way to get somewhere, or like the best tool to use, whether it's an airplane or flipping or rentals or whatever? Those are all just vehicles to get you to a destination. You have to decide where you want to get to first, or it's not going to work out. You're not going to know what to say yes or what to say no to. I hope I'm making sense here. Right? So I have ADD.
I think you're making a lot of sense. And I really just want to emphasize that I think it's the most important step that most people skip. And it's to really spend time, ask yourself over and over again, what do I want? Why do I want it? What? Why? Why? And each time you hear that response of the why, it's going to help you clarify further what that is actually going to look like. And then you can make the decision to really put your time, effort, energy into that thing, knowing that you're going to go in the right direction. I've got a great resource I'd love to share with people where we talk about some of these 5 success principles, and understanding what and why is one of the key success principles that I've learned studying, 100 plus successful investors. It's something that you guys can take totally complimentary. You can grab a copy of it at investormindset.com/success, investormindset.com/success. And the 5 success principles is like 25 pages with a couple exercises and some examples for you guys to actually be able to go and use and to leverage while you're executing some of the same strategies you're going to hear from agents and investors on this show. You can use that as a part of your process for getting clear on what action you're going to take, who you're going to work with. And one of the most important pieces is finding a great mentor. So I'm just giving you a little clue that when you dive into investormindset.com/success, one of the things is going to be go find the people you want to listen to, go find the podcasts you want to learn from, and find a way to get close to those people. It's a huge, huge benefit.
Yeah. And not every mentor's for everybody. You may have a friend that had enormous success with somebody that if you're not vibing or just feeling that, like find somebody that fits for you. I love that. So what the other interesting thing on what getting clear on this vision stuff does for you is it kind of puts like a pair of glasses on. It gives you the ability to see and make a yes/no decision on whether something's the right fit for you. And so, Stephen, you said finding a fulfilling career that like kind of gave you time was one of the most important elements of like what your business could do for you, right? Like, am I summarizing what you said earlier correctly?
Yeah. So that's one of the things I found, but it was make an impact and build a relationship with people over and over again.
So check this out, guys. Okay. I have a business opportunity for you, Stephen. You're not going to be fulfilled Okay. You're going to have to travel a lot. Not, like, I don't know if family is important to you, if you have one or not, but that's not what you said. Okay. So we'll stay, you're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to make an impact on people, but you're going to become the richest man in the world and learn from Warren Buffett and learn everything that he knows about business. But you're not going to be fulfilled and not have an impact. Like, do you take that business opportunity?
It doesn't sound great, does it? It doesn't really sound like it's in alignment with what I'm actually looking for.
Now, here's the thing. Like, that opportunity is like, I don't know, like, that's probably like the best business opportunity that somebody can imagine. Like, you have a guaranteed path to be the richest man in the world, or like one of them, right? A top 5 person. But if it doesn't align with your vision, you actually have an ability to say no to it if you know that it doesn't fit. And there's a story that that really resonated with me. Bill Gates and a couple of his buddies were having lunch, and someone came up to him and he said, "Hey, what's the secret to success? If you guys could just say one thing." And they all said, without a question, it's focus. Staying focused on something. So the vision and getting clear on what you want, it helps you with the focus, and it also helps you actually build the life of what you want. And like, for me too, that's also the Stephen, like if the cost of working with Warren Buffett came at that, I don't want that opportunity. Somebody else can be the richest man in the world. I don't care. I have the same values as you do, Stephen. I really want to make an impact too.
It's huge. It's huge to get that level of clarity, because it makes decision-making that much simpler. When you really understand what you want and why you want it, it's really easy to know a yes or no, is this the right direction? Because one of the biggest challenges you're going to face as a new investor or somebody who's looking to grow in this space is that there's a lot of different directions. There's a lot of different opportunities and options and ways that you can invest your money, and ways that you can make money, ways that you can create a business. And none of them are better or worse than one another without having that piece of clarity to understand what is actually right for you.
Yeah. And then it's simple, guys. Get the right who around you, get the right mentors, the right people around you, and then execute properly. So, okay. I think we nailed that point, and I think we're done with it. If you let's shift gears just a little bit. Okay. So, looking back now at your career, and like, if you were able to give yourself like a piece of actionable advice when you're just starting out, like, what would be the most important thing you could have told yourself when you're just starting out?
I think the most important thing is to sit down and really get clear on what you want and why you want it. But then it's to be patient. It's to take lots of action and go after things. But just remember that it's all going to work out. Everything's going to come together. No need to stress about it. No need to get worked up about it. Let things happen and continue to surrender and accept them as they do. That doesn't mean you accept them in the sense that you're not willing to go and take a new action or try something new. But, when something doesn't work out, the longer that you stay upset, the longer that you stay, on the sidelines as a result of something not going exactly the way you want, is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. And so the faster you can get back into the game, the more and the better that you can apply the growth mindset methodology is really the biggest advice that I'd give to myself. And I think I definitely was living it, but that idea of being patient and just accepting some things as they are would have definitely made it a little bit easier of a path.
I know exactly how you feel. It's like, why is this not built yet? I feel you, man. So, okay, then going forward, what's in store in the future over the next 5 years? What are you looking to accomplish, man?
Well, our big thing is, I'm just a big believer in focus. So we do one thing, we do it really well. We work with high income, high net worth, growth minded individuals, people who are earning great income in their business and are looking to put that money to work in great real estate deals. Doesn't mean it has to be the only place that you're investing in real estate. I have plenty of people who own single family homes. I have plenty of people who don't. But at the end of the day, my goal is to make an impact on over 1 million people directly and indirectly through the work that we do. We're definitely on that path, and we're going to keep trucking. We're going to keep buying more properties, continue to service the investors that we have, and just build great relationships that will profit all of us for a lifetime. So that's our big focus: hiring great people. If anything resonated that we've talked about today, and you're looking to join a great organization, we have a few different roles. So definitely reach out. Instagram, Steven.Pesavento. Shoot me a DM, and someone from my team will put us in touch.
What's your dynamics look like with your team? What's your setup like?
Yeah, so we have a large marketing team who helps us with the Investor Mindset Show and our media and our social media and all of those different pieces, helps us launch deals and pieces like that. And we've got a great executive assistant who handles my entire life, which is phenomenal. And we're working right now on bringing on a high-level executive to really handle the operations and finance as we continue to grow. So that's the direction we're going. And yeah, I really appreciate you having me on the show today, James. It was really a pleasure getting to share some stuff with the audience today.
Yeah. So one more time, guys, it was investormindset.com for that resource. Is that correct?
Yeah. investormindset.com/success. And you can find Investor Mindset on YouTube or podcast. If you liked what we talked about, go over and hit the subscribe button right now and check out a couple of episodes.
All right. Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right. So that's a wrap for today. Check out the episode on doorstodeals.com/081 for full resources that we have available for you. And don't forget, we generate about $130,000 a month in passive income for people. If you want to build your portfolio, if you want to generate more passive income through investing in real estate and diversify your current investments, we have some great opportunities for you. So just send us over an email to deals@3doors.com, deals@3doors.com, and we can get you some more information there. So that's it for today. Go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock doors to deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.